Welcome to this presentation about coffee for PMS. Is coffee good for PMS or is it bad for PMS? That's exactly what we're going to cover in this video. Here's what you can expect to learn. First, we'll give you a brief introduction. Then, you can expect to learn what is PMS. We know it stands for premenstrual syndrome, but what is that? After that, you learn about what causes PMS. Is it just a hormonal imbalance or is there more to it? After that, we'll cover how caffeine intake affects PMS. This is the section where you learn whether or not it's good for you. And if you're looking for ways to improve your PMS, I'll have a few different strategies for you in this section towards the end of the video, so keep on watching. Before we jump in, if you want more videos like this, feel free to click like and subscribe, and you'll be notified when I do publish more videos similar to this about hormones, women's issues, and more. Now, who am I? My name is Igor. I'm the author of 12 books on exercise and nutrition, specifically for women, including Osteoporosis Reversal Secrets, the No BS Guide to Intermittent Fasting for Women, and several others. Additionally, I run an online personal training company called Fitness Solutions Plus that specializes in women's fitness. If you want to see whether or not we can help you, just fill out the application form on our homepage, which is in the description below. Now let's jump in. First of all, what is PMS? So it stands for premenstrual syndrome, and it's a collection of symptoms that some women, not all women, have before their periods. Here are some of the symptoms that they experience. One of them is uterine cramping. One time I came home and I saw my wife on the couch in a fetal position because her uterus was cramping. Breast tenderness, depression, oily skin. A lot of women get prescribed birth control pills, not for contraception, but for skincare during PMS, and decreased energy, as well as others. So if you're wondering, I have it. What's causing this? Well, there are a number of different causes. Two of the most prominent theories are: one is changes in the serotonin levels in the brain. Serotonin is a brain chemical or neurotransmitter that makes you feel content, happy, relaxed, and so on. And so if a woman is prone to psychiatric or psychological symptoms during her period, this may very likely be playing a role. Another possible theory, this one I guess seems more obvious, is an imbalance between the estrogen and progesterone levels during that time of the cycle. Estrogen and progesterone levels should fluctuate throughout the cycle, and there is an optimal ratio of each one during different times of the cycle. And if there's an imbalance between the two, that's when you get PMS. Now, what is it that determines the severity of symptoms when it comes to PMS? Well, here is one study titled Caffeine-Containing Beverages, Total Fluid Consumption and Premenstrual Syndrome. And here's what the researchers did. They took the participants and divided them into different groups organized by their coffee consumption. So some women consumed as little as 1 cup of coffee a day, and some women consumed as much as 10 cups of coffee per day. And what they found is that basically it's a linear relationship. The more coffee they consumed, the worse their PMS was. And by the way, this was only true for coffee, not decaf. So it's really the caffeine that's playing a role, not the other components of coffee. So yeah, the more coffee consumed, the worse it is. Now, if you're wondering, why is that? What is it that's causing my favorite beverage to be so against me? Why does caffeine intake make PMS symptoms worse? There is one major mechanism behind it, and that is caffeine's effect on cortisol. Cortisol, as many women know, is what they call the stress hormone. It is a hormone that you're supposed to release when you're under stress. It's not what causes stress, it's the hormone you release when you're under stress, which is a big difference and a different way of thinking about it. And so what caffeine does is it increases the duration that cortisol stays in the bloodstream. So it doesn't increase cortisol, it just increases the duration of cortisol in the bloodstream. And what does cortisol do? Cortisol causes blood vessels to narrow. It is said to be a vasoconstrictor. So how does that affect PMS symptoms? What it does is, if there is uterine cramping, why would there be cramping? Because of decreased blood flow to the uterus. And what's causing decreased blood flow? It's cortisol. And what's causing the cortisol increase, or the prolongation of cortisol in the bloodstream? Well, that's caffeine. So that's one possible reason, but it can cause symptoms, as well as a number of the other symptoms associated with PMS, like depression, like oily skin, and others. And so a lot of women wonder, well, if I take away my coffee, how do I improve Energy levels. Well, I guess the big one is sleep. Sleep is by far the biggest culprit when it comes to energy levels. When clients come to me with a complaint that they have low energy levels, the first four thoughts that come to my mind is number one is sleep. The numbers 2, 3, and 4 are in no particular order are low iron, low B12, and a slow thyroid. And so those are the things that I would look at if a client is complaining of low energy levels. Now, if you're just drinking coffee for taste, not necessarily as a pick-me-up, switch to decaf because in and of itself, caffeine is flavorless and it's the other components of coffee that give it the flavor. Because of that, caffeine has the same flavor as coffee. Now, if you're wondering, I'm in this video because I want to improve my PMS. So how do I do it? There are a number of different ways of improving PMS without medications, etc. Although I'm not saying medications shouldn't be taken, there are just other alternatives. One of them is stress management. Here is one study titled PMS is associated with a blunted reactivity to the TSST. What does that mean? TSST is the test used to assess how do you respond to cortisol. So contrary to popular belief, cortisol is not a bad hormone. Cortisol should rise when you're under stress. So first comes stress, then comes cortisol to help you deal with the stress. So cortisol is an anti-inflammatory hormone and it's released when you're under stress. That's a beneficial reaction. PMS happens when you are under stress, but cortisol doesn't rise. So a blunted cortisol response is the problem, and that's what contributes to PMS. How do you improve your cortisol symptoms? Well, as we talked about earlier, sleep. Okay, sleep really helps you with a lot of different things: your PMS, your cortisol, your estrogen to progesterone balance, your energy levels, and a whole lot more. You have to think about it that if you live to be the age of 90, you're going to spend 30 years out of 90 asleep. That probably means it's very, very important. Because of that, I highly recommend sleep, which I talk about in other articles, videos, in my books. Here is another article titled Magnesium and the Premenstrual Syndrome. In this study, what researchers did is they recruited different women, both those with PMS and those without PMS, and they saw which group of women has the worst PMS. And it appeared that women with lower magnesium levels also had the worst PMS. Those with normal magnesium levels did not experience PMS or did not experience it as badly. And so if you're wondering what foods contain magnesium, well, here are some of the best sources of magnesium. So pumpkin seeds, 50 grams of pumpkin seeds, which is about 3 tablespoons, contains about 265 milligrams of magnesium. That is by far one of the richest sources. Squash seeds are very similar to pumpkin seeds in their magnesium content. Brazil nuts contain 170 milligrams of magnesium per 50 grams, which is about 4 to 6 Brazil nuts. Cacao powder, fortunately, that is dark chocolate, so enjoy 70 milligrams of magnesium per tablespoon, as well as dark chocolate, of course. Sesame seeds contain 50 milligrams per tablespoon, and poppy seeds contain 50 milligrams per tablespoon as well. Flax seeds contain 60 milligrams per tablespoon. These are not exhaustive, and if you're wondering how much magnesium should I be getting if I have PMS, aim for somewhere between 300 and 500 milligrams per day from all sources combined. That is both supplements and food. If you like this presentation, thank you so much for watching this video. Click like and subscribe. It will help you learn when I publish similar videos to this, and it will help other women learn when I publish more information about PMS, hormones, and women's issues. Thank you and goodbye.